Greetings, Pennsylvania journalists and others who are covering the 2020 election here in the Keystone State. I'm Paula Knutson-Burke, and I am the local legal initiative attorney for the Reporters Committee for the Freedom of the Press. We've put together this short presentation to give you some resources for the election. I want to tell you our first resource is something not just for Pennsylvania, but for states across the country. It is our election legal guide, and it is available at rcfp.org/election legal guide. There you can find helpful resources for states throughout the country, including Pennsylvania, and things you'll need to know on Election Day. You'll also be able to access the Reporters Committee hotline information on our website. The Reporters Committee hotline is 1-800-336-4243. Reporters can also submit information online through the hotline fillable form. On Election Day, we will have lawyers, including myself, staffing the state of Pennsylvania. If you are a reporter or a photographer or a freelancer and you're running into difficulties, please call the hotline and we'll try to get you some help and resources. Again, that's 1-800-336-4243. Now let's drill down a little bit into 5 things you need to know when reporting on the election in Pennsylvania. We're going to focus on some common things that reporters will see across the Commonwealth, including news gathering in or near polling places, access to voter rolls, election returns, ballots, and the initial count and recount process. For news gathering, in most instances, members of the news media must remain at least 10 feet away from polling places during voting in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's law describes a polling place in its definition in the election code as the room provided in each election district for voting at a primary or election. Most voting sites are not a single room where voting takes place, so it's important to remember that this limitation only applies to the polling place, as that term is defined by law. There can be a 10-foot barrier between the voting room itself, the polling place, and press activity, but that will be typically inside the building where voting takes place, not on the street. Public locations outside polling places where voters enter, exit, and wait in line are public forum for First Amendment purposes, and journalists should be able to gather news there. In Pennsylvania, obviously, elections are run in different ways depending on what county the reporter is working in. And so from the outset, it's important to note that talking to your county election officials in advance can be helpful to iron out issues about where they think you could position your camera or your reporters. So contacting the county election officials in advance is always a great idea. Journalists have a right to inspect voter rolls in Pennsylvania. Voter rolls with names and addresses may be inspected during business hours, and copies may be requested for a fee. A state employee must supervise the inspection. Our third thing to know is that journalists have a right to access election returns, which are public records under Pennsylvania's election code. Starting on election night, the results of federal and state elections are available on the Pennsylvania Department of State website. On Election Day, the Pennsylvania Department of State is planning to host press conferences at 9 p.m. and 11 p.m., and their department is on standby to take press questions throughout the day. wmurin@pa.gov is the best address to reach Wanda Murin of the Department of State. Journalists do not have a statutory right to access completed ballots in Pennsylvania. Under Pennsylvania's right to know law, completed ballots are not public records. However, other documents, such as the blank ballot, are accessible. Pennsylvania law has not recognized a general public right of access to the initial counting of ballots or to recounts. However, Candidates, their attorneys, and their representatives may be present for a recount. At this time, clerks can start processing ballots at 7 a.m. on Election Day, although they may not begin counting them until after the polls close. The deadline for counting all ballots in Pennsylvania is the third Monday following the election, or November 23rd. We have much more information available in the Election Legal Guide, at the Reporters Committee for the Freedom of Press website, rcfp.org. Our hotline information is also available on the website, and our colleagues at the Pennsylvania News Media Association also have election-related material at panewsmedia.org. Please stay in touch with us for Election Day and beyond. Our social media channels include Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and we have newsletters that you can sign up for to find information about the Reporters Committee work here in Pennsylvania and beyond. Thank you and take care.